this is Dati, and welcome to the TNA Post Show. As always, I'm joined by my co-host. He's a fourth rascal, and he allegedly has no relation to our new international champion, Steve Maclin. And he's the star of the show. He's the one and only Bert Maclin.
How's it going?
It's going good. All right, we got quite a few things to talk about. Yesterday was TNA Unbreakable, and for the most part, we're going to talk about the main card because your girl didn't finish watching the countdown to Unbreakable. So, before we get started, I just want to thank our sponsor, which is Shroom Bar, the protein mushroom bar. It's made up the not psychedelic, but 4 powerful mushroom adaptogens. It has lion's mane, which increases focus, memory, and neuroplasty, making it easier to form new patterns and learn new things. Next time you're trying to learn that new move, it will actually stick in your head rather than forgetting it immediately. It has cordyceps, which increases VO2 max blood flow and overall endurance. It has reishi, which decreases stress. It has turkey tail, which boosts your immune system, and we all know you need that on those nasty ass gym mats. And on top of all that, it has 12 grams of protein. Go to eatshroombar.com and use code BODYSLAM at checkout for 25% off your first order.
Definitely.
One of these days I'm definitely gonna order that. All right, so Unbreakable kicked off with the first round of the international title tournament. This match featured Eric Young, JDC, and Zachary Wentz. Now, as we all know, last week AJ Francis had his match, so he was just backstage chilling, watching this. So
yeah,
this match, I have to say, I thought was interesting that JDC formed an alliance with Eric Young. They pretty much took out Zachary Wentz on this. I thought this was a good opening match, get the tournament matches out of the way, which made sense because this tournament was going to main event. So Eric Young was victorious. What were your thoughts on this match and on Eric Young being the one?
Well, it's not surprising that the two heels teamed up. That's kind of like par for the course. I've seen that quite a bit. You know what I mean? That's something that usually happens. Obviously, Eric Young winning makes sense, especially, obviously happens before Maclin got his win, but it makes sense in the long run in that part. I was hoping Ace would have won just because I think that he should be doing a little bit more since Bey is out. I think he has a lot of momentum right now as a face. If you saw, especially when he came out, I believe it was during the countdown, he was very over. When Chris Bey came out as well, obviously. So, yeah, but Eric Young winning, I'm fine with it.
Me too, but it actually makes sense considering who wins the next match, honestly. Mm-hmm. So Joseph says it was an interesting move to have 3 of the 7 matches be in the tournament. That was interesting. I just noticed that now they pointed it out. The second match was a second first round match of the international title tournament, which featured Eddie Edwards, Ace Austin, and Bulletproof Steve Maclin.
Oh, so obviously I misspoke. Ace was in this match. Wentz was in the other, but Ace still lost. So sorry.
It's okay. So I thought this was an interesting trio of components. Remember, Sami Callihan was supposed to be in one of these 2 matches, but he opted to be in the one of Mance Warner match. So commentary made note of the fact that, I think it was a day or 2 ago, it was 2-year anniversary of Maclin's world title win at Rebellion 2023. I can't believe it's been 2 years since Steve Maclin was world champion. Seems like just yesterday he was world champion.
Even though I thought Eddie was going to win because I kind of thought he would be the perfect, just because he's a legend of TNA and it would make sense to have him be the first champ. But then Maclin winning, and then obviously we'll get into it. I think that was the right choice.
Same here. I thought it was. I want to give a shout out to Front Row Joe. I don't know if you noticed, but Lish got into an argument with him
Yeah, I saw that.
So, but yeah, like you said, Steve Maclin won. But here's an interesting thing: when he did the crosshairs to Eddie Edwards was legitimately got caught up in the ropes. Maclin and the ref had to try to free him from there.
Yeah, I must have missed that, but that's funny.
Yeah. Joe says, "Oh, LOL. LOL, he's almost famous for Are You English?" Yeah. But yeah, so Steve Maclin wins when he hits the KIA to Eddie Edwards. So next we get a Frankie Kazarian and Tessa Blanchard interview. Let me see. Joe says, "I'm here, front row Joe." Oh, nice. Hey, front row Joe.
Hey,
And
Joe.
one of the things I like about this interview is that both Tessa and Frankie Kazarian were just being assholes and complete dicks to poor Gia Miller. You know, talking about how she asks the dumbest questions ever.
Yeah, this was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kazarian was great. I don't know. I always was, Kazarian's, even though he's a heel, I think his heel heat is more, he's doing his job in terms of Tessa. She does come off unlikable. That's just me saying that. But, I mean, that's just my opinion. But yeah, this was a good segment.
Yeah, it was. I think that Frankie Kazarian, he was hilarious during this segment.
The fact that he has a scarf wrapped around his trophy is very funny.
Oh, I remember he wanted Leon Slater to carry his trophy around for him.
Speaking of Leon Slater, I know we're not going to touch on the countdown show, but he cut an amazing promo on that show. Probably like his best in TNA, and yeah, the future's bright with him.
I definitely do think he's going to become the youngest X Division champion of all time.
I think he breaks both records personally.
It's April 18th. We have a little over. He turns 21 September 20th.
And then Io reminded us the young.
Right.
What? Oh yeah. And then Io reminded us the youngest world champion was Tessa at 25. So I actually do think he eventually breaks that one as well.
He's got a couple years for that one though.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got a little 5 months left to break the record. So I think he'll break it. He definitely has to break it before Braun for Glory. It has to happen at Slammiversary or before.
I will say, speaking of, because he could win. He could win it tomorrow. He could win it at Rebellion in the Ultimate X match because they are having that, right? And he's in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you got this far, but on the countdown or there was a Diener segment, and he was talking about his contract signing, and Santino was saying, "Oh, the board cares about wins and losses." And he brought up how he's been close, but Santino kept saying he's brought up wins and losses. And so, yeah, Diener's contract's up May 1st, what he said. And so he got a Ultimate X qualifying match. And the whole time I'm thinking, are they going to put the belt on Diener? Like, because I was like, but he didn't win. But I was like, please don't do that.
I actually did see that part, but I was just getting to the match.
You just saw the match?
No, I was about to see the match.
Okay.
Speaking of X Division, we get Moose's X Division title open challenge. So he basically challenged any high flyer in Las Vegas, and the person who answered this challenge was Sidney Akeem, aka Reggie, FKA Scripps of the WWE. I think there's still one more spot for the Ultimate X. So I thought this match was pretty interesting because it took me a while to recognize Sidney Akeem was Reggie. And, I wasn't expecting this match to be a long match. I thought it was a decent match. Sidney Akeem I always thought Sidney Akeem was very talented, even when he was in the WWE. I feel like given the right opportunity, I think he has potential. So.
I won't lie, I was a little disappointed, but this was still a good match.
Why were you disappointed?
I just was hoping for a big name.
Like who?
What?
Like who?
I don't. I don't. They're in Vegas, you know. So I figured they could have. Someone could have shown up. I don't know.
Maybe I was thinking maybe we would get the return of Kenny King because he lives in Las Vegas.
That would have been good.
Mm-hmm. If Ricochet wasn't signed to AEW, I would have said Ricochet.
You know, Amazing Red would have been cool.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of him, I just thought it would, especially because we'll be there. I think it'd be very cool if, because whoever just said that there's one more spot in the Ultimate X match, it would be cool if Amazing Red was in that, and then if Leon Slater broke the record while Amazing Red was there. This is just me, fantasy booking, and hopefully someone from TNA is hearing this and they book that.
Alrighty. So obviously Moose is victorious here. It's no surprise. Joseph says, "Hello, that was crazy to see the former Reginald Thomas accept the challenge he made Alicia Pine." Yeah, he did. So, like I said, no surprise. Moose retains after the spear and a low blow. So next we get an Eric Young and Steve Maclin segment. They're basically talking about the international title match. They're talking about how they were both going to end up there and that they called this from the beginning the best man was going to win. So I guess this is why Eric Young and him each won their respective matches. So we can have this moment.
Yeah.
So next we get the 6-man tag match. It's Mustafa Ali and Nemeth brothers versus Mike Santana and the Hardys. This was actually a really fun match. I actually really enjoyed this match. Mustafa Ali abandoned the Nemeth brothers. He left them out there high and dry. Like, yeah, Santana chased him, but at least Santana came back. Ali didn't even bother coming back.
Well, you know, heels are not supposed to get along with each other. You know what I mean? They're not supposed to be the well-oiled machine compared to the faces in the match. I also just really like how companies, I feel like every company does this, but usually before there's a show where you're going to have a set of matches like between, like let's say these people, they always will do a match with the heels on one side and the faces on the other, you know, with the people involved in those matches. So I really like this just because it kind of, just a little preview and getting everyone in the match. So yeah, I did like this. And obviously, you know, that reverse booking theory with the Hardys winning, I kind of think we're going to see the Nemeth brothers win. Especially how we've talked about, I think they're going to Canada soon. So they're going to have to take the belt off Jeff eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they don't have to, but you know what I mean?
Joseph is not surprised. The cabinet is scared of Santana. Order 4. Her name is Order 4.
Order 4. Oh, God, I forgot about that.
I prefer the cabinet. Order 4.
I think we all do it, especially just because every time I hear the Order 4, I think of Fortune because their song would start out, their song would go Fortune 4. So like it reminds, and Order 4 just doesn't sound good. I don't get what it means.
Order 4 sounds like a Star Wars reference.
It does. That's a good call.
All right, so obviously Mike Santana and the Hardys win this, and Ryan Nemeth takes the fall here. He eats the pin, I should say. So
and before, what was that?
I was to say backstage, Eddie Edwards and JDC attack Zachary Wentz.
Yeah, which I don't know what that's leading to, but I'm interested in that.
Same. Are we going to see the Rascals feud with the system? That should be interesting.
And before we go to the next match, just want to remind everyone this week's podcast is sponsored by Shroom Bar, the protein mushroom bar. It's made up of not psychedelics, but 4 powerful mushroom adaptogens. It has lion's mane, which increases focus, memory, and neuroplasticity, making it easier to form new patterns and learn new things. Next time you're trying to learn that new move, it actually might stick in your head rather than forgetting it immediately. It has cordyceps, which increases VO2 max, blood flow, and overall endurance. It has reishi, which decreases stress. It has turkey tail, which boosts your immune system. And we all know you're going to need that when you're on those nasty gym mats. On top of that, it has 12 grams of protein. Go to shroombar.com and use Body Slam for checkout for 25% off your order, your first order.
I have to check out this Shroom Bar one of these days.
Definitely.
You talk about it so much. All right, next we get the mixed tag match. It's Frankie Kazarian and Tessa Blanchard versus Joe Hendry and Masha Slamovich. You know, I have to say, I'm starting to think that Joe Hendry's motor cuff. I'm starting to think that injury is kayfabe because if it was as bad as they said it was, there was no way he'd be out there wrestling. He would have came out with the sling.
Yeah.
The crowd really hates Tessa with the Blanchard. I knew it was kayfabe when Gia didn't get a timeline from the doctor. Exactly. This has to be kayfabe. Homeboy would have came out there with the sling and he would have been forced to relinquish that title.
Yeah.
Don't he put like that that tape, the kinesio?
Yeah,
tape?
like the athletic tape that you see all wrestlers wear.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's kayfabe. Or even if it's not as bad as they made it seem to be. You know, honestly, this was also a fun match. I think Masha doing the pose with Joe Hendry, I thought that was pretty cool. I think Frankie Kazarian and Tessa Blanchard actually worked really well together, except for that miscommunication that cost them the match. But Victoria Crawford, aka Alicia Fox, she distracted Masha Slamovich, so I wonder if maybe it's a sign of things to come.
Speaking of Alicia Fox, just real quick, I love seeing that there was quite a mix of celebrities there last night. Alicia Fox, West Side Gun, but the one that really popped me was Debbie Gibson was there. I don't know why she was there, but I was like, okay, that made me feel old. But I was like, okay, it's Debbie Gibson. It'd be cool to see Alicia in TNA. I always thought that she didn't get the respect she deserved in WWE because she was really good.
I was gonna say the one celeb, if I use that term loosely, that surprised me was Tim from 90 Day Fiance. I used to watch 90 Day Fiance. I actually watched his season of 90 Day Fiance.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
Didn't know he was a huge, massive wrestling fan.
I just always remember like that was always like something that always stuck out to me, especially when I was like watching wrestling as a kid. Like on Raw, for example, whatever town they would be in, they would always go, like if they were in Buffalo, they'd be like, oh, they've got the offensive line from the Bills up front. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just always liked when you see that. And definitely now, if for the people who watch wrestling on Raw on Netflix, it's a little overkill. They usually show like 20 celebrities. But yeah, that was cool last night.
I asked us, what's up?
What's up, Bio?
Insert that meme from a scary movie too. What's up?
Well, and just real quick, what do you think? Would you like to see Alicia in TNA?
Of course, I would like to see Alicia in TNA. Yeah. I think she's severely underrated. Like you said, she was not appreciated in WWE, and I think that in TNA, we've seen many countless times before. I think that they would definitely tap into her strengths, and I think that they would showcase her really well.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because the track record and pipeline of people kind of being underbooked in WWE and then going to TNA and being properly booked is very the list is long. They're kind of able to squeeze out like what the other company couldn't.
Mm-hmm. Just as they needed an excuse to justify the triple threat at Rebellion with Frankie cashing in the title shot. That's true. Is he a huge wrestling fan or was given a huge stipend to sit there and pretend? You know, I don't know. Because Tim, from when I was watching his season of 90 Day Fiancé and even when he was on Pillow Talk, never gave that vibe that he was a wrestling fan. I don't know. I always think it's so random like odd how random, the most random celebrity is like a massive wrestling fan.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, I would be willing to bet like how like a lot of these, maybe a lot of them did grow up watching it, you know what I mean? Because we also obviously know because they talk about how many people were watching wrestling during the Attitude Era. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And before, so it surprises me, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I can see that.
Oh, I forgot to mention during Moose they had some special commentator. I forgot who that was.
Oh, well, and then Shawn Marion was out there for one of the matches, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Justice says, was interesting to see Victoria Crawford in the crowd. I wonder if she will work some days with TNA. Yeah, me too. Yeah, TNA will show Victoria Crawford really well. She's getting a second chance for sure. Oh yeah, definitely seem to be hinting at that. But anywho, do you have any last remarks before we move on to the next?
No, again though, but real quick, just going back to Joe and Masha winning. Whether you believe in reverse fucking or that's a bad sign as well. So, but that's correct. I'm trying to think because I feel like I have watched a show where there's just new champions across the board. I wonder if that's something we get at Rebellion.
We'll see. So next we get a Mike Santana segment, and he's talking to Santino Marella. Basically, he's done playing games with Mustafa Ali, and we're gonna get a Falls Count Anywhere match at Rebellion. It's gonna be Mike Santana versus Mustafa Ali in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I think that should be really interesting because I feel like and we'll talk about this more next week when we get into predictions. But I honestly think that this is Santana's match. I think he's, on the road to Slammiversary. I think this is his match to win.
I also could see him losing because obviously this match, since this Falls Count Anywhere, leads itself to some way, somehow, and fuck it, I don't care. I'm not calling him Order 4. I'm calling it Ali's cabinet for the cabinet to get involved. You know what I mean? And I do think that back-to-back losses to Ali doesn't hurt him, just because I think that the in the long run, even though if it's not stated, it's not like this is set in stone. I think Santana getting a big win in his hometown, and whether it's the world title, which we kind of talked about, I think, and I think he's eventually going to get that big win over Ali anyway. So Ali getting these wins to kind of set up the bigger match is fine. Because long-term feuds, you know what I mean? That's kind of something that we've been seeing everywhere in wrestling. So I don't mind stretching this out as long as possible.
Okay. Justice says, can Santana deal with the cabinet in this match where the cabinet can help Ali and the ref can't do anything? Hope it leaves the arena. Well, that would be really cool if it does leave the arena. We haven't had a match like that in a while. We haven't had a match leave the arena in a while, so I really would really like if we do leave the arena. But we'll talk more about that next week when we get into predictions.
Again, that just takes me back whenever I hear that to wrestling with a kid. Remember on Raw when they had the hardcore title, people would be getting pinned in the snow outside. You know what I mean? They had the funniest finishes with the hardcore title, the 24/7 rule. People were just getting pinned in random locations.
Yeah, that was funny. All right, so next we get the Chris Bey segment. Ace Austin introduces him. Honestly, this brought a tear to my eye just to hear Chris Bey talk about his neck injury and about how he was paralyzed, about how he's so thankful for the quick response of TNA, the doctors of Detroit, and the fact that he's walking again. He never stopped believing. He thanked Ace Austin for never leaving his side, never stopped believing in him. I can't believe it's been 172 days since he had his accident.
This would have been just real quick. This would have been if you would have had Ace win his match and then you do this segment, there would have been no way Ace couldn't walk out of there with you know what I mean? That would have just set him up to be probably one of, if not the top face in the company.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's fine. But this segment was just, I was tearing up.
Same. He said that I like how someone in the audience is like, it's because they leave, and he said, I want to put that in this shirt, and he's like, I want rights. That was hilarious.
Believe.
Yeah, the Bay leave. That's funny. Joseph says, you ain't human if this didn't make you cry. The fact that he's walking and was able to visit Vegas 6 months after his injury is a miracle. Yeah, it's definitely a miracle. This was such a this was a very good little segment. I'm glad that they give Kispay this moment in his hometown of Las Vegas.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
So next we get the barbed wire massacre match. It's Sami Callihan versus Mance Warner. Sami Callihan just as Mick Foley. This match, this match was something. To me, the worst spot in this entire match was when Sami Callihan stapled Mance Warner's tongue onto the table and then destroyed the table with the steel chair. Oh my god, that spot. Oh, this is a
Let me ask
match.
you a question. Well, two questions. One, because I totally forgot to look at my timeline and just see the response for after this. Did you think that this was worse or not as bad as the Edge and the Cope and Moxley match with the thing to the back, the nail bat? Did you think this was worse?
No.
You thought this match wasn't as bad as that?
No.
Okay.
I also think this was nuts. It was nuts. Like this. Oh my god, this match was something. I've never seen a barbed wire massacre match.
Because I thought this match was more violent than that match. So like that was kind of what I was asking. Like I'm surprised. That's what I'm saying. Because people lost their shit over the Moxley match and it was disgusting. I thought this was way more disgusting. Like because again, you're talking about the tongue. Like I like anything with that, I think it's like horrible. Like that's why I went back and said that the syringe spot in the Swerve and Hangman match. You know what's funny though? Even though none of those bother me, the nastiest spot to me in all wrestling, and I think we saw it last week, was someone will take a paper and paper cut the web of someone's finger. I don't know why I think that's the worst, but I just think even though that's not even that bad, I just think paper cuts are so terrible. It makes me hurt whenever I see someone give someone a paper cut. But this match was brutal. What?
Paper cuts hurt. Okay, paper cuts really hurt.
That's what I'm saying. It's like because when you'll see something, you go like this, like you kind of like I wince when I see someone get a paper cut. I think that's the worst spot in wrestling. Those should be banned. Paper cuts.
Yeah, this match was.
Yeah, Sami is in his element with these type of matches. So, yeah. Again, it didn't bother me. I'm just saying it was very brutal.
The only thing that was missing was Sami and Mance in each other's blood. That was like the only crazy spot missing from this match.
Yeah, I hate when they do that.
Sami poured lemon juice on those wounds, and then he was gonna pour that sauce.
That's terrible.
That's terrible. I've had lemon juice on my wound before. Oh, it burns.
Yeah, we've all been cooking with it, and you know what I mean, or actually got something on a cut. So yeah.
Yeah. Whew. Commentary mentioning GoldenEye and WWF No Mercy as their favorite video games. Because Sami Callihan bought out that barbed wire Nintendo 64 controller. I've actually played No Mercy. I've never played GoldenEye. I was not a huge fan of I'm not much of a gamer, but I did play WWF No Mercy on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, that and WrestleMania, like the 2000, like the two of the best wrestling games ever. And then the 64, and obviously GoldenEye as well. That's one of the best video games of all time. But yeah, I like the interesting weapons like that.
GoldenEye sounds like a James Bond game. Is that it?
It is. It's a James Bond game.
Oh yeah, because GoldenEye, I believe, is the James Bond movies, right? From like the 80s, I think.
Yes. It's the Pierce Brosnan one from the 90s.
Oh, Pierce Bronson. Okay, I didn't see that one. I saw Die Another Day. 007. Die Another Day.
And the game, it looks like him. It's based on his character in the game, so.
Okay. Let us know in the live chat in the comment section down below what games you played on the Nintendo 64.
Assuming we'll get a lot of Smash Brothers, a lot of Mario 64, because that was kind of like the first game that came out with the 64.
That Rainbow Road, man. I swear.
Yeah, once they went to 3D in Mario, it got way too complicated. Even though I play video games now, I just didn't like that. I like Mario being a side-scroller.
I'm not much of a gamer. I do like GTA, but I don't really do much in GTA, honestly. I kind of just run around just causing chaos.
Yeah, I play a lot of GTA and then Red Dead, which I do the same thing in Red Dead, but on a horse.
Oh, that's hilarious. Alrighty, before getting way off topic here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had an Elijah in concert here. I don't know about you, but I walk with Elijah.
This was an entertaining segment, I'll say that.
It was. So he's going to be doing an open challenge at Rebellion, and he will smash the guitar over his opponent. He mentions it could be anyone from any company, and he makes mention of Chris Bey, the Barbed Wire, Sami Callihan, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Eric Young, Steve Maclin, and AJ Francis. And I was in TNA, we walk this way. I immediately thought of Aerosmith and Run DMC. Walk this way. What? You don't like Aerosmith or Run DMC?
No, I do. I was just trying to rack my brain who it's going to be. Usually because I'm just thinking who's from there, because they're going to be in LA. I'm just trying to think, obviously it could be somebody from NXT, which would be cool. So yeah, I always like an open challenge just because when it's somebody a surprise, or it could be a new signing. So
I can't see somebody from NXT expecting the challenge. There was rumor that TNA had 3 international signings, so maybe it's one of them.
Oh yes, I remember seeing that.
Maybe Ricky Saints, maybe. Who knows? Ricky Saints not really from LA, but we'll see.
It could be Braun Strowman. Remember that time he had that big stand-up bass, that giant bass? He could come out with that. I don't know.
Can't think of anybody right now. I guess we just gotta wait and see.
It could be Jeff Jarrett. He has a guitar. He could come out.
Yeah. Let me see. I can't think of anybody right now. I don't really watch NXT.
I think it will probably be either a new signing or somebody from NXT. I just can't think of who would make the most sense.
Same. I think that if it's a new signing, you definitely want to make a good first debut. So you definitely would be the new signing would go over Elijah. If it's someone from NXT, I could see Elijah winning, but I don't know. We have to just wait.
Did you see the because right when that news broke, it was also right around the time. Did you see that Naito and Bushi are finishing up with? So a lot of people have kind of speculated that, which, Naito is a big name. He's a little bit banged up right now, but that fits the bill of international signings.
It does. So I guess we just gotta wait and see.
Yep.
Okay. So our main event is the triple threat match for the international title. It's Eric Young versus Steve Maclin versus AJ Francis. I want to say another star-making performance by AJ Francis. Once again, he proved he belongs in the main event. I think he did a really good job in this main event. I still advocate for him to become world champion or just a champion in the future. This was a great showing by him. I think he's
I said the same thing last night. Like, I said the same thing last night. Although I think that him and KC would be great as tag champs just because of the dynamic, I do think he should be world champ as well. Just because And I say that especially after his world title match against, I believe it was
Nick
was
Nemeth.
it against Ethan? Who was it against?
Nick Nemeth.
Yes. Just because TNA currently doesn't have anybody like him, that he could be the monster heel champion. So, yeah, I thought this was great.
It was. As he just says, AJ's the case where WWE didn't know how to use him, but it was a blessing he got fired from WWE. He's using it as a positive. Yeah, that's true. So some of my favorite spot in this match was when they did. Oh, let me see. It was when Maclin and Eric Young clobbered each other on that top turnbuckle. They were just beating on each other. And the fact that Steve Maclin did the KIA to AJ Francis, that was impressive.
I'm blanking. Who took the pin?
AJ Francis.
So yeah, that's what. And then so now we get Eric Young versus Steve Maclin at Rebellion, right?
Mm-hmm. And he did the Olympic Slam to him.
Wow.
Too. Norris says, very happy to see you guys reviewing again. Oh, thank you, Norris. Yeah, we took a week off. We try to do it weekly, but sometimes, stuff happens, unfortunately.
Once the finals were set, Steve Maclin was the only choice to win. I think that, and because also too, just because it wasn't like I never liked the digital media title, the name of it, but in the beginning, that's beside the point. In the beginning, that they had some good reigns, but then just with this last stuff, I'm glad that they kind of are starting fresh with a new belt. I like this name better. The belt looks amazing. I love the blue leather. Reminds me a little bit of Shawn Michaels' IC title in the early 90s. But yeah, see, I like this because Steve Maclin is not in the main event scene, but like how you talked about, I think he deserved a better world title run. So I think him having a really long I don't think Eric Young's beating him. So him having a long international title run is going to be really good. It's going to be good. I hope Eric Young doesn't beat him.
He really needs to establish that title. There's no way he should be losing in his first title defense.
Yeah, he should hold that title for a year.
Yeah. Let me see. They took up a whole building. They took a while building Steve Maclin. What do we think of the new belt? Well, let's show it
great.
off. So this is how it is. I like it.
I love it.
I like it. I love the color scheme to it.
Yeah. Again, I love the blue leather. It's something different. Yeah, I like I said, Sean had a teal or like a light blue IC title, and I always like that.
I like how the center plate has like all of these different flags on it, which shows it's international. I do question if Steve Maclin is going to strictly defend in TNA. Is he going to go like overseas, or we're going to have international opponents? Because it is the international title. I'm very curious to see what TNA does with this title, and I hope they learn from their basic digital media title to rectify with this new title. I will say I will miss, and I was really disappointed that we only got 2 combat matches. I think those matches were really fun. Who can forget Matt Cardona versus Jordan Grace? The cell phones, with the cell phone spot, or Joe Hendry and versus Moose when Joe Hendry flipped off Moose with the Sega. I thought that was hilarious. I wish we'd have gotten more of those combat matches. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that Joe Hendry, now that the title is defunct, holds the record for longest reigning digital media champion, right?
I forgot about that. I think so.
Justice says, who knows? I know Eric Young is his first challenger at Rebellion. That's true. And they're going to Canada soon. That's a start to defend Canada there.
And that's what I was going to say to your point and to Io's point, with not just counting NXT, this would be a belt that you could see having somebody from NXT hold. But yeah, TNA has great relationships with a lot of companies. You know what I mean? I can see them this belt being defended all over. And yeah, TNA is an international company as well because they're partly based in Canada. So yeah, I see this title being very much a traveling title.
I wonder if that partnership with Deeper is still in effect because nothing ever came of that.
What was that?
Remember that partnership they announced last year with Deeper? Like, I wonder if that's still
With
in
who?
effect.
With what promotion? One more time.
Deeper AAA.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Nothing ever came of that. But anywho, I'm really happy for Steve Maclin. I'm so happy he won this. I think that looking at where he came in to where he is now, I definitely do think he's come a long way from his debut till now. I'm liking babyface Steve Maclin, though. Don't get me wrong, I really did like heel Steve Maclin. I do agree with you. It's such a shame his world title run was cut short. I definitely do think that he could have had a little bit of a longer title reign as world champion, and I hope that the international title is just a stepping stone for him to eventually get back to the world title. But I hope that he does great wonders with this international title.
He's very good as a face because he's just a typical guy who wants to do it on his own. And of course, the fans are always going to respect someone who gets over by working hard. So I would like to see, also, just different people challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To Io's point, that's a lot. I think a lot of that will going to happen. People from New Japan, people from different promotions are going to challenge him, and vice versa. Because he's going to put it out there. He wants to prove, you know what I mean? That belt, you want to prove it against the best in the world. So
yeah, Mexico and Canada. It sounds like a Joe Hendry song. Mexico, Canada, England. Yeah, I know.
I think because I obviously he was there first before. I don't know if he had made it to the main roster, but Steve Maclin showing up with this belt at NXT would be very cool because he does have history there.
That's true. Hopefully, this belt means that TNA will be going to other countries. Hopefully, Steve.
Yeah, I'm assuming they went to England last year, so I see them doing big things.
Definitely.
And obviously doing Mexico shows, especially for us in California, Mexico's right there. So
you say Tijuana, I will be across the border in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Mexico City is a little far, but Tijuana,
that's very far. People don't know. That's like I believe like 3,000 miles away. So
I gotta and it's cheaper to fly within Mexico too. So, but you say Tijuana, I'll be there within 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, same. It's about 7 or 8 for me. Well, no.
Well, you're a little further up, so.
Yeah, about 9 to get all the way down there. But
you have to come back down.
Yeah, but now Mexico City, that would be about a 2 days drive. I ain't driving that. I don't drive farther than 600 miles.
You would drive, homie? I'd go to Tijuana and then fly from Tijuana to Mexico City.
Yeah,
2 hour flight.
That's a good point.
2 hour flight.
Yeah.
I don't even drive to Las Vegas. I fly to Vegas.
I like the 60-minute flights.
Me too. It's a 45-minute flight. I take a nap. I'm awake. I take a nap and I'm there.
When you're landing before you even take off.
Exactly. All right, we're getting way off topic here. Last but not least, the Nemeth brothers. Ryan Nemeth gets a mysterious invitation and it ends up being an invitation to the Hardy compound. So the Nemeth brothers is going to be deleted?
I did not see that. Please have all the characters return. I'm talking about, obviously, Senior Benjamin. I'm talking about Scribe. I'm talking about Skarsgård, the dilapidated boat. I want to see the Lake of Reincarnation. I want to see Rebby. I want to see Maxwell, who once got a big win over Rockstar Spud.
You didn't see this, Bright? You didn't see to the end?
I didn't. I must have missed this.
This is like a post-credit scene.
Sometimes You know, like it's like the Marvel movies. I forget to stay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But this is really interesting. I'm very curious to see what happens in the Hardy compound. This is going to be what the go home show to Rebellion. So
I don't think I've ever seen a bad Hardy compound segment or match. It's always so fun. You know, there's going to be fireworks. There's going to be cameos.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
I remember that one time the Hurricane showed up, and then his reporter alter ego was there.
Gregory Holmes?
Yeah, yeah. I also remember that time when Matt Hardy had trick-or-treaters come to his house, and I believe he gave them green beans. He was broken. He's wacky.
Okay. Yeah, Thursday is already their go home show. Alternate Deletion is so much fun. I was just who's excited for Rebellion? Hell yeah.
We'll be there.
We'll be there.
I can't wait. It's been a while since I've been to a TNA show. I'm excited.
I'm so excited. I haven't been to a TNA show since when? Last year, I think.
I'm trying to convince myself to drive back down there for the Irvine tapings.
I don't know about Irvine.
People don't realize that LA is more like a county. It's not like it takes a day to get from everywhere, especially with that traffic.
Yeah. That area where the USC, the Gallon Center is, that's like going to downtown LA. So you can catch traffic. And luckily I'm going to take the train there. $1.75 will get me there and back. So $3.50, roughly $3.75, I think.
That's a smart way to do it.
Of course. You know, I got legs. I don't mind walking to the train station. It leaves you right. I think it leaves me right like in front or across the street from it. So I take the train when I go to the Staples Center.
I cannot wait.
Same here. I can wait, All right. I always keep the pay-per-view running until they show the Anthem logo. Smart.
I usually do.
For Rebellion.
I try to, at least. Oh, and that's funny because how you mentioned the Staples Center, because I was just there, and I believe you were as well for Revolution.
I was there for Revolution.
And that's pretty near there, so.
It is. It's on the other side.
I'm very excited. It's gonna be a great show, and yeah, like it's a week turnaround. I mean, you know, not a lot of turnaround, but it's not like there's not matches set because this wasn't really. This was not a pay. You know what I mean? This was just kind of like it was an Impact Plus special, but you know what I mean. It was on a Thursday. It felt like a extra TNA, but yeah. Yeah, I live TV in Irvine. I kind of want to go.
I don't know if I want to make the trip down there. It's
kind
of hard. It's kind of hard to get to Irvine from where.
I just would feel I would be mad at myself if I didn't go to every TNA show that was here. You know what I mean? We don't. It's not like we get a lot of them in California. Well, we haven't been lately, so.
That's true, and I get your point, but I just want to drive down there. And if I take an Uber,
again, people don't realize California it's big, and especially down in LA, it's not like people underestimate how long it takes to get from one place to another.
Unless you're from here or New York, you don't realize how bad traffic is here. Like you don't, especially during rush hour traffic. Some of these freeways are just bad, and I don't know, if I take an Uber down there, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg.
And yeah, it's not like the public transportation is quite like New York or San Francisco, so.
Exactly. I hate public transportation here in LA. But anywho, RN will host the TV tapings after Rebellion. Yeah, anywho, as we get ready to sign off, Bert, where can people find you?
Just on Twitter at BertMaclin11.
You can follow me on Twitter at @I talk Raw, SmackDown, AEW, occasionally AEW Dynamite, and of course TNA Wrestling. You can catch me on my channel, Rangers of Wrestling, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, occasional Saturdays and Sundays. And of course, for all things TNA, you catch me here every Thursday. Thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever we go live and whenever Body Slam goes live. And we'll see you guys next week for the Go Home Show to Rebel.